What's up, guys? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our videos. Also, make sure you follow us all over social media so you don't miss any of our content or show announcements. Now to my actual question. You discuss player archetypes a lot, and you claim that the offensive engine is the most valuable. My counterpoint to this will be the offensive engine archetype. Luka, for example, will make the role players better and produce great offense for the team. However, I think where it's flawed is when there's actually talent on the team. The talent can be suppressed by the offensive engine iso-balling and not allowing for others to excel to their potential, leading to never maximizing the team's ceiling. I think a great example of this is Luka having Brunson and Porzingis right under his nose, but due to his iso-ball, offensive engine play type, they could never reach their full potential. Did you ever consider the fact that allowing others to excel is actually crucial to a team's success and should be a factor when evaluating a player? I believe that Tatum only gets negativity from having a super team. The Celtics do have a great team that fits perfectly, shout out to Brad, but he never actually gets credit for allowing everyone to excel and being a winning team player. While still being soon to be 4X first team All-NBA, I firmly believe the Celtics would be worse, not a champion, if you replace Tatum with Luka due to him being a defensive negative and suppressing his talented teammates. Would love to hear your thoughts. Okay, a lot to get into there, but I picked this question because I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff to get into here. First of all, a couple like basic things that I disagree with. Brunson was excellent with Luka. The job that he did alongside Luka in that role was what allowed him to get a massive payday from the New York Knicks. You just had a situation where they let him walk. For what Nico Harrison just didn't think Brunson was good. That was a Nico Harrison problem, not a Luka Doncic problem. Kristaps Porzingis, if you remember, those of you guys who remember the Rick Carlisle rants, he was not a good post player back then, and he wanted to post up. And he's changed fundamentally as a player by becoming a better post-up player. He unlocked that in Washington, and he's continued it in Boston. Porzingis has gotten better. That's not a Luka problem. That's a Porzingis problem. Specifically, the idea of replacing Tatum with Luka. I think if you replace Tatum with Luka, the Celtics would immediately become even better. And the reason why I feel that way is a specific concept having to do with taking on two on the basketball every single time down the floor and the type of advantages that that creates. So, first of all, I think there's a reputation with Luka that he is only going to allow you to take catch and shoot jump shots or catch lobs. That's not true. That has been a team construct among the Dallas Mavericks. In the Dallas Mavericks build, it was a lot of specific play finishers, lob threats around the basket, catch and shoot guys, a lot of like Derrick Jones Jr., who can't dribble or pass very well, PJ Washington, who can't dribble or pass very well. Like even Dorian Finney-Smith back in the day was an example of that, right? This Lakers build is fundamentally different because they're surrounded by guys that can actually dribble, shoot, and pass. LeBron can dribble, shoot, and pass. Austin can dribble, shoot, and pass. Rui Hachimura has more advanced closeout attacking ability. They do have play finishers. That fifth guy is either going to be Dorian Finney-Smith, who's a catch-and-shoot guy, or Jackson Hayes, who's a vertical spacer. But four of the players on the floor are not the traditional Dallas Mavericks build of Luka and play finishers. This is a different build. It's Luka with a bunch of talent, and it has immediately led to massive returns. Here's a crazy stat to demonstrate this for you. When Luka shoots out of pick and roll, he's been brutal. I've talked about this. He's having a super down shot-making stretch with the Lakers. 12 games, 2 games where he's had at least 10 made field goals. Last year with Dallas, in 70 games, he had 50 games where he made at least 10 field goals. Luka is far from where he needs to be as a shot maker. On ball screens, he's shooting just 39%. And if you factor in turnovers, when Luka takes a shot or turns the ball over, he's only getting like 0.75 points per possession in ball screens. Here's the problem. Luka has drawn a second defender to ball screens 129 times out of 181 ball screens. That's over 71% of the time that Luka runs a ball screen, they're doubling him. As a result, even though he's shooting like shit and turning the ball over, a Luka ball screen with the Lakers has been worth 1.1 points per possession, which is off the charts good when you factor in the fact that he can't make a damn shot. It's in the 87th percentile, regardless of surrounding circumstance. And he can't make anything. Because once you bring two to the ball, it creates advantages. And I've talked about this concept nonstop. If you have a closeout, a player having to sprint to guard a player versus him already being squared up, the efficiency skyrockets. Now, for regular play finishers like the Dorian Finney-Smith types, the PJ Washington types, the Derrick Jones Jr. types, that sort of guy is going to have a limitation in his ability to consistently score against closeouts. But look at how Rui and LeBron and Austin have been thriving off of that attention to the tune of 1.1 points per possession. So the point is like, if you're under the impression that Luka playing with the Celtics and running ball screens with Horford or Porzingis or anybody and getting blitzed every single time wouldn't lead to the Celtics just picking teams apart, frankly, I think you're wrong. Like, to put it simply, what do I beg Tatum and Brown to do every time we talk about the Celtics? I beg for them to find a matchup that they like and pressure the rim so successfully that it becomes untenable for the defense, that they bring in second defenders so they can get into their drive and kick game so they can get wide open catch and shoot threes, because that's when they're at their best. They don't get that as much because teams look at Tatum and Brown and go, we'd rather have them play ISO. Every single team in the NBA looks at Luka Doncic and goes, fuck that, get the ball out of his hands. It's a fundamentally different type of offensive talent. There is a chasm, in my opinion. As good as Tatum is, there's a chasm, in my opinion, between Tatum and Luka as offensive initiators. And so if you put Luka surrounded by Derek White and Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, I think they'd score. I think they'd be the greatest offense in the history of the NBA. And like, by the way, I think this Laker team has potential with a full training camp, getting healthy. I think they have the potential to reach a really special offensive level. And we'll see what happens in the long run. If what I'm saying is true, then we will see that manifest if the Lakers can keep Luka surrounded with a similar level of offensive talent. But again, I'm not trying to hate on Tatum because we're specifically focusing on offensive initiation. Tatum is a infinitely better defensive player. He is so much more versatile in the ways that he can be deployed, even off the ball. Like Tatum is a much better catch and shoot player than Luka Doncic. There's a lot of complications with that debate that bring Tatum very close to where Luka is as an overall basketball player. But if you specifically focus on shot creation, Luka can consistently bring two to the ball. And that is the fundamental difference between him and just about everyone else in the league. Guys, 181 ball screens. And he's playing alongside LeBron and Austin and all these offensive players. And teams are like, we don't care. Get the ball out of Luka's hands. And that is a testament to just how gifted of an offensive player that Luka Doncic is.